And we're live. All right. So, welcome to Upturned Table. And today we are going to take a look at some of the new releases from Free League's latest crowdfunding campaign for Vaesen. This is not one of them, but this is something I wanted to pick up because I thought it would make a nice continuation from where we left off with our campaign. But this is the Lost Mountain Saga, which has some giant content that I think might be good. So we'll take a look at this later. And this is a very unique set of adventures or mysteries. So what we're looking at today, if I can get the glare off of it, are City of My Nightmares, Mythic Carpathia, and the starter set that was released. And I think there is, essentially, it's not a full version, but there's an updated version of the rules. This will have a condensed rulebook in there. But they did make some changes they mentioned in the crowdfunding. I didn't pick up another copy of the core rule book. I'm sure I can just use Post-it notes, any errata or any changes. But we'll find out. We'll find out when we take a look what exactly they changed. So where should we start? Well, maybe we should just start with the starter set, because this will be your best idea of what the game's about, and it looks like a really good place to start. Free League always does really nice starter sets, very complete, very high quality. There's not just a QR code inside to use some digital tools or something. They do a nice job. This is a little late in coming. The game's been out for quite a while, and but this is a good chance if you're curious about it. So basically, Vaesen is what they call Nordic horror role-playing, and they've been expanding it into both British and now Eastern European folklore. But instead of playing investigators in a Lovecraft story with elder gods and eldritch horror, they're relying on the folklore and mythic creatures of first Scandinavia, originally Scandinavia, and then other parts of Europe. This was inspired by a book of illustrations and kind of descriptions of these mythic creatures by Egerkrantz, the same illustrator that's done so many wonderful things that have inspired Free League and done a lot of their illustrations. So this is some of his work, and we'll take a look at everything inside. This seems to be a little bit more, because originally they just released a core rule book and then a collection of mysteries. This might be a little bit more complete experience, and there also are their custom dice included in here. So now we'll have lots of those. So let's start with the starter set and just see how they did. And luckily, we got everything pretty much the same time everybody else did. Sometimes in Japan we get a bit of a delay. We're kind of the last ones to get things fulfilled, depending on where they're coming from. Sometimes we're lucky with board games in China. We get them sent directly from the continent, the Asian continent, but other times we have to wait. We're kind of the last in line because, they just make sure everybody else has gotten theirs, especially if they're doing fulfillment or kind of combining, different components in Eastern Europe or England. But the first thing I noticed is taking the wrapper off did not help my the glare. So this is quite a glossy box, which is unusual because, as you can see, they often go with a linen kind of treatment, so it's very matte and has a nice fabric texture. But this box is in fact quite glossy, but it's very heavy duty. You can feel the and sometimes they get away with using the box lid for rules summaries or something, but not in this case. Oh, interesting. These dice look a little different. I'll have to see. I don't think I've got my original ones here. These look a little more white. The original custom dice for the campaign, I think, were more of a bone color. I could be misremembering. It's the same marks, the same iconography, and the same style, and these are the same size. But I thought the other ones were a little more of a bone color. It'll be interesting. We can, I guess, differentiate players or differentiate the game master this way. But this is a Year Zero engine type of a game where you're rolling the pools of d6s. So you've got 6s for your success, and you've got 1s that can have some negative effect. And you have a pushing mechanic. So, based on stats, you roll a certain number of d6s, count the number of successes. If you have at least 1, you're successful, and then you can use the additional ones to for different effects, additional damage, or quieter, faster, more skillfully type things. Yeah, these look a little different, but I should have brought the previous ones as well. But they're very clear, and maybe that was a thing. Instead of making them more antique looking, they made them clearer to read. Some silica gel, just in case this sits on the store shelf, and I believe they had a card set with these as well. So this is duplicating a little bit of what was in the original card deck. But this is their initiative system. So it's a 1 through 10 on cards. So instead of rolling a die, you draw a card, and that gives you initiative. And the nice thing about that, instead of rolling, is you have this card. And in some of their games, the cards actually serve kind of mechanically, like you rotate them for a fast action. You rotate them like this for your full turn, and so you know that you're finished. It kind of keeps track of who's taken a turn. But this allows you to just swap cards. So if somebody should go first, or there's some benefit, or someone wants to delay an action, you basically, anybody that hasn't gone yet, you can swap initiative order with them. And with cards, that makes it a little easier than, handing, dice dice faces. So yeah, 1 through 10. But the one challenge that does, though, if you're dealing with hordes, or if you have quite a large party, they're taking up half of this initiative. If they're encountering a lot more creatures that will need initiative, you have to start grouping things. So a group of skeletons or whatever will have 1 initiative slot, and will kind of act on the same turn, because you are only dealing with 10 slots. That's the only kind of limitation with that, as opposed to just rolling a d20. All right, and their game catalog, as they always include. So Alien and Blade Runner, One Ring is the only thing we haven't played on the channel yet. Dragonbane, Coriolis, yeah, the Great Dark, the new expansion. Of course, Vaesen, and yeah, Saborum we haven't touched. We've done some Outgun, and Invincible has just finished their crowdfunding. Electric State we haven't gone near, and another Tales from the Loop. I guess it was hard to talk people in. So yeah, Invincible and Walking Dead were kind of the beginning of mine. Not the free league licensing IPs that I wasn't very interested in. I'm sure this is great, zombie survival horror, a nice system, similar to their Twilight 2000. But yeah, just the IP is nothing's attractive about that. But that's right. And they're also, with their workshop, they're also Morkborg, Into the Odd. There's a lot of Death in Space. There's a lot of stuff that they help distribute, kind of like Modiphius did in early days. So Modiphius was helping Free League, and that became a little confusing, like about 2015 or so, a little confusing who was who. And now Free League is helping out the smaller designers in that way. So here is our first sheet here. So this is a nice not glossy, and Kickstarter backers on the Mythic level. Wow, look at these Mythic. I wonder how much that cost. The Mythic level. So yeah, this is just their introduction. So welcome to Vaesen. If this is your first tabletop game, congratulations and good luck. If this is the first role-playing game you've ever used, it might be a little hard to find your way. And I wonder, as far as that experience, we've already had the experience of playing our very first session of this and kind of the establishing the characters and the setting. But I'm curious how handholdy and how well this actually works. I guess we'll find out as we take a look inside. But let's see here. So, then just their flavor text. In dark forests and forlorn mountains, by black lakes and hidden groves, at your doorstep in the shadows something stirs, strange beings, twisted creatures, lurking at the edge of vision, watching, waiting, unseen by most, but not by you. You see them for what they really are, Vaesen. Yes, so you are, your characters, all the player characters are gifted with a sight, which allows them to see these creatures, and so sets you apart, and then you're kind of lured into this secret society to help protect, or perhaps take advantage of, eliminate. There's different levels of reaction to the creatures. So their instructions for getting started. So mystery and horror await. All you need to do is get started is the following: decide who will be the game master. If you have just opened the box and you're the first one reading this, that's probably you. As a game master, read the rule booklet and The Haunting of Castle Gillenkrantz, the mystery to familiarize with the content. So this helps a lot. They give kind of instructions in the core rulebook about how to introduce the castle and how you would come to know anything about this. But if they're actually giving you a mystery and an introductory adventure to help you establish things, I think that would help a lot more, because we kind of bent the situation to our will, and to literally to Will, to Will being a rich kid with a lot of means. It was kind of fun to have him take over and be the most be very financially vested in this. And that ended up kind of snowballing into a lot of these mysteries he ended up having economic advantage or taking advantage of. And so was buying places out once they were overrun or fell apart due to the hauntings. So you've got introductory adventure, and then there's pre-generated characters in here, and so they're assuming, like most starter sets, just jump in with a pre-gen. And sometimes that's nice if you find something that seems fun and is kind of playable or matches your style, then you're ready to go. But I would definitely suggest being able to create your own character, having a deeper connection, and have better synergy, or at least the kind of synergy you want. I'm sure the pre-gens have their own relationships and things. And here's everything they've released so far. So yeah, they've got quite a few. So this is the on the channel, the Wicked Secret and Other Mysteries is the adventures that we played through completely, and then here's the further mysteries, and then the UK, the Britain and Ireland adventures, and then the Lost Mountain Saga, and then the two new ones. So yeah, that's quite an array now. So that's our introduction, and so a little glossy booklet. Wow, interesting. Yeah, so that's the rules, and this might be nice to have at the table for just referring to, instead of flipping through, because this will have everything basically that you'll need, but for the players to double check everything and kind of defining stuff. Wow, interesting. Yeah, so very thin, but for a box set, you're not going to need everything. Yeah, so Johan Egerkrantz is did the original book. His book, Vaesen, was a collection of illustrations and descriptions of these mythic Nordic creatures. And then the lead writer, Niels Hintze, was, I think he's worked on other games for Free League, but this was a nice, there's some nice writing in here and some really, really good stuff. So some examples of play. So a little bit of an introduction, and let's just see kind of how they break things down. So we have an introduction and kind of defining. Can we see that? Yeah, it's a little dark. So defining the Mythic North, Vaesen, the site, which all of your player characters have, and then the standard what is a role-playing game, and then safety tools, because it is a horror game, so it's probably good to establish, if people are sensitive about eyes being injured or blood or, body horror. And then the player characters, they break it down into motivation, trauma, dark secret, their attributes, skills, talents, relationships, gear and memento, and then resources. And then explanation of the rules for making skill tests, when to roll, 6 means success, modifiers helping multiple successes, failed tests, pushing the roll, opposed tests, passive rolls. And then their combat rules. Yeah, so they have abstracted zones. And initiative, of course, is the card draw. And rules for kind of fighting. So there are some creatures that you're just not going to be able to fight, that come up similar to, Call of Cthulhu. You're just going to come up against things that are going to be bulletproof and are going to hit you. So it's Probably a good thing to not even to know that, know your limitations. So slow and fast actions, movements, attacking, weapons, dodging and parrying, grappling, fleeing combat, and ambushing, and then damage. So this is a game where you have a broken condition. So basically you're out of the action, but you also have fear and I don't think they call it sanity, but it's you have a response at both a mental and a physical limit. And you can reach the end of both of those. So your characters in this game know all about the existence of Vaesen and are, to some extent, experts on the subject. With this in mind, the players are allowed to freely reference the Codex Occult. Oh, nice. So there's a booklet, an actual real world or in-game real prop. A booklet in this box set. The text represents your character's own knowledge that is found in books about Vaesen that they might have easy access to. Yes, the original book by Egerkrantz, I really thought worked well as the same kind of thing, an in-game game world prop that the characters could use, because they did a nice fabric cover, and when they did the limited edition of this rulebook, they matched the finish of that original book. So the books, had a visual commonality, the rulebook and the original illustration book. But that book, could have existed, could have been published in the 19th century, and could be something that your characters would know of. But they specifically then do this way. I hope it's not just a glossy little pamphlet. I hope it's a little bit nicer treatment, but I don't think it's going to be. I think it's just going to be a half-size stapled pamphlet. But this would have been a nice stretch goal to make it a little bit more. So explanation of the site. So you have the ability to see Vaesen. You acquired the site as a result of some physical or psychological trauma. Most likely from some supernatural event. So for your backstory, your dark secret, that you can kind of work that in during character creation. And all those with the site are known as Thursday's Children. And then what is a role-playing game? Safety tools, the full game. Yeah, so this set will have the opening adventure and 5 pre-gens, but you can go into all of that. So player characters. Oh, interesting. Yeah, they break out a little thing. So the real 19th century was a patriarchal society where women were constrained with what they could do. However, this role-playing game is not about the real 19th century, but the Mythic North. And historical injustices do not limit your character choices for playing female characters. Yeah, so they they make this your own. Do what you would like with this setting, because especially not having a Scandinavian background or not coming from that part of the world, you're going to have limited knowledge of things. So you are going to probably modify things by your expectations and kind of how you how you see things. So as much guidance as the book can give you, your world or your setting is still going to be, your Mythic North is going to be a bit different. So yeah, all of the factors that go in, your motivation, your trauma, your dark secret. Yeah, so just a short explanation of how all of these things work, how the skills are connected to your stats. Wow, yeah, very, very abbreviated rules. So this might not be that bad to absorb. You just have a few pages to flip through, a few terms to kind of familiarize yourself with, and they do, as a lot of good rule books do, give you a little bit of examples of play. So how the player character would ask to do something or attempt something, and then what the game master would require from them. Yeah, but this is very abbreviated, almost like a rules summary. I'm surprised. Yeah, they've reduced things a lot, but just explaining a lot of the terms. Yeah, so here's I think swapping initiative is really the reason that they've always used cards for most of them, and they've abstracted zones and ranges, abstract distances between things. Wow, yeah, it's just a small paragraph of every aspect. Interesting. Nice, but still, they included some of the nicer illustrations. And then the broken condition for broken by physical or broken by mental. And then, yeah, these are the matching your stats. These are the conditions that you take once you've taken all of these conditions, or I think all 3 on one side. it will force you to be at quite a, you're going to take a negative to each one of these rolls. And I think once you're all full on one side or the other, you're either broken physically or broken mentally. Yes, and so you'll suffer conditions. Oh, interesting. So there must be, yeah. This is just for the players. I think it's just a brief explanation of the rules for players. Yeah, interesting. So this would be what you would hand to the players for them to refer to. There's not a lot. I'm really surprised. It's just a rules reference. Yeah, basically, very condensed rule set. Interesting. All right. And here is our adventure. Oh, there it is. Yes, it is just oh, that's too bad. They should make a different version. Okay, let's cheat and just take a quick look. Oh, interesting. Yes, it is. It is like a modified version of the original book. Maybe made more for the game. There's notations. It looks like. So here's the adventure, and this will probably have some hand-holding for the game master, assuming that if this is their first time running. Yeah, I'm not in love with the glossy covers, but it does make them. It makes the art pop a little bit more, and it makes them more durable. But yeah, I prefer the satiny, more semi-gloss. But that's pretty glossy. All right, so we won't spoil this because this is only for the GMs. But this is going to be basically the first way that your characters are meeting, or the first thing that they're doing together, and being drawn into both the society and their headquarters in Uppsala, because you're first based in Uppsala, and use the resources of that kind of medium-sized city. But it has a university, and it has an insane asylum, and all of those good things. Interesting. Yeah, and there is a caretaker of the castle, and that was a little bit of a thing we ran into as well, is the characters that Matt and Will did. One was a butler, like a manservant, and one was the kind of rich kid. And so the butler you didn't need. The butler included in the castle you didn't need. So he became just kind of a groundskeeper in our setting. So yeah, just a minor Vaesen there. Oh, that's nice. Look at that. So there's the kind of a nice illustration of the grounds and or the floors. Yeah, the floors of the castle themselves. And this is the secret symbol of the society. Yeah, so kind of a quick adventure just to acquaint yourself, and probably also to learn what is where. And you do improve the castle, kind of your home base. You can build libraries, and basically I think the idea is you uncover, you break through barricaded doors, locked places, open hidden passages and things, and you uncover the things that so the castle is full of a lot of things to assist you, and you can either build them or discover them. All right, so here's our Codex Occultum. Oh, I wish this was just a little different. Yeah, a little square bound. Maybe this survives better at the table. Who knows? But it looks like, oh, this is great though. Look, they make it look more like a little bit of an artifact. There's a book plate and some aging. Uh-oh. How are we doing here? Oh, boy.